What's going on, guys? One thing you know for certain, we here at Screen Junkies love toys. That's right, we're surrounded by them. Action figures, collectibles, and they're coming out related to movies all the time. And in fact, there's a movie inspired by toys coming out shortly, Max Steel. This all got me thinking, what are the most popular movie toys of all time? We're about to get to the bottom of that, and we have a couple of experts with us today to talk about it with. First, he is the head man of action at the website Action Figure Insider. Welcome to Screen Junkies, Daniel Pickett. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
And he's a friend of the show. You've seen him on Movie Fights. He is the founder of imockery.com and the creator of A Bobo's Big Adventure, Roger Barr.
Good to be back, Hal. I missed you.
So guys, would it be fair to call you both collectors?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Sometimes
Especially
hoarders,
him. Come on.
depending on if you talk to my wife or not.
Same here, yeah.
How did each of you start collecting?
I mean, I feel like I've been a collector my whole life. It started back in the 70s with the Mego figures, those, 8-inch figures with the cloth costumes. Mego ruled the earth for a long time. They were actually the first company to do movie licensing.
Roger, tell us a little bit about your early foray into collecting.
I was also a big Mego fan, absolutely. But my main thing when I was a kid was I got to grow up in like the golden age of toys, the 80s.
Yeah.
And just some of the figures that came out then. I mean, Masters of the Universe, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, Transformers, RoboForce. So many great toy lines back then. Back then, they did have giant sets, like the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, the USS Flag. You could sleep on top of that thing as a kid. It was that.
Oh yeah, I had the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier.
You were spoiled!
It was the greatest Hanukkah present I ever received.
I can't imagine owning that. That
And
thing
I
must
never-
have been amazing.
We had a basement, and
You'd need one just to hold it.
It only got 75% built, but that was enough. Fellas, would it be fair to say that toy collecting you can simply break it down to pre and post Star Wars?
Not necessarily. Star Wars was the 800-pound gorilla. I mean,
Yeah.
Star Wars got a lot of people into it and kept a lot of people.
All right.
The biggest movie toy line of all time.
Before Star Wars, what were the biggest toys? You mentioned Migos. Was there one that's like, oh, this line or this particular character was far and away?
Mego was the first company. I mean, they had the Marvel license, the DC license, which is, at the time unheard of.
Oh, wow.
They got everything back then.
Yeah, it was crazy that, because most of the time they try and mix that around. Like,
Sure.
Someone's going to do this, someone's going to do this.
So after Star Wars, what was the next big property to rear its head that impacted the toy industry?
Movie-wise, I would
movie.
probably say Batman, coming out with the 89 Batman.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was
Stuff
huge.
mostly came out in 90 and again carried through to today.
So what are some of the big pieces from that release?
Everyone wanted like the Batmobile and the Batwing. I mean, those are two of the most iconic things from the movie. So yeah, those were definitely big ones. I remember just being so excited to finally have that Batwing.
Later in the 90s, mid to late 90s, we had more Batman films, the Joel Schumacher Batman films. Were there any toys of note coinciding with those films?
For Batman Forever,
Yeah.
they made this awesome bat cave. It had like 3 pedestals that connected with bridges. It had this big lattice that you could hang the Batwing on. There was a ramp you could bring the Batmobile in. I mean, it was a giant playset.
Yeah, and playsets were kind of starting to fade out at that point too. So this was it was a big deal to toy collectors at the time. So that was one of the nice things.
It was a thing of
about
magic. The company that first put out the figures for the 89 Batman was relatively unknown. It was a company called Toy Biz. Right. This was their first venture into action figures. So they did the Batman figures. They eventually expanded that into more DC figures. And then they moved into the Marvel license for Marvel Comics. And then eventually they were bought by Marvel. And for a period, they owned Marvel while Marvel was bankrupt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
Marvel owned by Toy Biz.
yeah.
After Batman, 1989, what really made an impact on the industry after that?
For me, I would say McFarlane's movie Maniacs. That was a huge one because up until that time, kids really didn't have action figures based on rated R movies. These were gory horror figures.
Yeah.
I mean, you had Leatherface. They had bloody variants, which were extra bloody. That had like a bucket with severed body parts in it and stuff. And these were being sold at KB Toys and Toys R Us for kids to just buy.
And
Imagine,
Walmart.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
pretty unheard of at that time.
So, and these covered like pretty much every major horror movie property. You had Elm Street, you had Friday the 13th, Halloween, Army of Darkness, Ash got a figure.
Oh, awesome.
Candyman even got a figure.
So we've journeyed through the 70s, into the 80s, into the 90s. I want to ask about another film that originated in that era, Jurassic Park. Talk to me about that influence on toys.
As they were developing the dinosaurs, the thinking was, there's lots of dinosaur toys out there. What is going to set this apart?
Right.
And one of the guys pitched, well, if we put the JP mark on them, they'll know they're authentic Jurassic Park toys. And that will make kids want to buy them over just a generic dinosaur, because dinosaurs are public domain. Anyone can make a dinosaur.
True.
Yeah. The 90s was actually quite a mess, like, as far as movie figures go, when you think about it. There was Kevin Costner's Robin Hood. They did figures based on that, and they basically repurposed the Star Wars Ewok Village as one of the sets from that.
Well, the bodies are superpowers figures, and some of the Star Wars figures, like the Gamorrean Guard. Is,
Wow.
Is Friar Tuck.
You're revealing some secrets here.
To the point where Kevin Costner's belt buckle has a G on it because it was the Green Arrow figure from Superpowers.
Wow.
Yeah.
You heard it here. So moving into the 2000s, I mean, some of the obvious ones that come to mind are just more DC, more Batman, and Marvel became such a huge player.
And Transformers. I mean,
Okay,
once
yes.
that movie came out, there were whole halves of aisles dedicated.
Gotcha. So take me into how Transformers, because that's a toy that existed, kind of faded away, then back with a vengeance.
So, when what collectors call them the Bayformers.
Okay.
When those came out, I think that created a certain amount of issues just because the transformation of these CG models didn't have to be realistic. It didn't have to function.
Right.
But then toy makers still had to make them do that.
Yeah, because in the movie, I mean, half of these things just look like a bunch of sheet metal stuck together and painted, in flames.
They don't
and
have
stuff.
a ton of personality.
No, they really don't.
A lot of old school collectors didn't necessarily gravitate to it, but kids ate it up, and they sold like gangbusters. And especially that was a summer movie. That Christmas, stores were wiped out of that stuff.
Wow. Okay. So that sounds huge. Fellas, Star Wars. Talk to me.
So when the movie came out, they weren't expecting it to be that huge. Even the cast was like, I don't know what this is going to be.
That's why Lucas got the rights to it, because they didn't think it was going to matter. They never
Exactly.
even thought they would get a sequel.
Little did they know.
Everyone underestimated this thing. So Kenner was the company that got the license. They were not prepared for Christmas of 1977. So they had some puzzles and some little paint by number things, but they had no action figures. And they realized that was a huge mistake. So what they did was they sold the early bird kit, which was basically a cardboard stand that someday you could put figures on.
Right.
And it had some stickers, and it had a little thing that you would mail in, and in 6 to 8 months, then we'll get you your figures.
So what happened with the crushing demand?
They put out this early bird kit. Parents wrapped it, put it under the tree, and you'd open it and go, look at that, a piece of cardboard,
that's gonna be
everyone.
fun in the
That's
future.
gonna be great, yeah. And then eventually they did, though, because I got one. I mailed the thing in, and just one day I went to the mailbox, and there was Luke, Leia, Chewbacca, and R2-D2 just waiting for me. Oh, it was spectacular.
Oh.
And that kicked it off. And from there,
Then you started to see the toy stores just fill up with them. I mean,
Yes.
floor to ceiling Star Wars toys. I mean, you can look up some photos of them online, just how beautiful these old classic toy aisles were.
it's stunning.
Just so much stuff. And it's crazy to think how valuable, because these were just mass produced back then, but now they're just skyrocketed in value.
So Star Wars really was kind of the dawning of a new era.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was one of the first what they call evergreen properties that just sort of stays. I mean, it ran from 78 to 84.
85.
85 in its initial run, yeah.
Are there anything from that line that are considered like a holy grail piece?
One of the big Star Wars stories is
Yes.
the rocket-firing Boba Fett. So,
Which Kenner denies they ever even produced, by the way. Yeah.
So right before Empire came out and they released that new wave, there was a thing you could cut out 5 proof of purchase, send it in for this new character from Empire Strikes Back, Boba Fett. And they had this sort of crude mock-up of him on the back, and he had a rocket rocket that would shoot out of its backpack. And we were like, this is fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. It's the first one with like an action feature.
Awesome.
And so we all cut up our cards and mailed it in, and then we got the thing, and there was a nice little note saying, hey, we took out that feature because, it
was
for a
literally
choking
glued
hazard.
onto his backpack instead.
If one was to come across one of those, how much would it set you back?
Ooh,
Give or take.
somewhere between $10,000 and $20,000.
Yeah.
Hachi-machi. Biggest toy franchise.
Still Star Wars.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense.
It's 38 years later, and we're still lining up at midnight when they
Wow,
release those
Star
toys.
Wars still rules.
Even
Okay.
even
Star
the
Wars
Star
is-
Wars prequels, honestly, those, I mean, people were lining up because
Well, you know what I
by that
realized?
point they knew all these toys were collectibles, so they were like,
Yeah.
let's buy them up. And
And I feel like I've realized that for a lot of young people, those are their Star Wars movies.
Totally.
You know? So I asked you both earlier, what's the weirdest film ever to have toys made for it? And you both said...
Over the top.
Over the top.
Independently of each other,
Yes,
oddly
yes,
enough.
yes.
Yes, Over the Top, the Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling film. Oh, the slow motion, the knuckles cracking.
Yeah.
And Roger, you own this
Yeah, this is one of my
arm
prized
wrestling
things.
table.
Yeah, I do. There's actually...
You cannot use this unless you have the figures.
Yes. No, I do have the figures as well.
You guys, you've given us such a bountiful gift of information. It's almost as good as the gift of the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier I received that one
Almost.
Hanukkah.
Not quite.
Guys, thank you for really dropping some knowledge. So, what's your favorite movie toy you own? Is there something that you're searching for that you can't wait to have? Have you already bought your Rogue One action figures? Let us know in the comments section below. We want to know. Daniel Pickett, thank you for being here and just spreading so much knowledge. Roger Barr, always good to have you back,
Great
buddy.
to be back, buddy.
And thank you for watching. I'm Hal Rudnick. Hit me up on Twitter. Bye-bye. Hey guys, did you know that this end card works with your phone now? I know, right? Click the boxes below to watch more Screen Junkies videos and click the Screen Junkies logo to subscribe and get this show, honest trailers, movie fights, and more.